Bethany Bell, BBC News, Vienna.
Well, let's speak to Dr. Sara Bazoobandi, an Iranian academic on international politics and economy at Regent's University here in London. Is Obama right to say he's 50% optimistic that something's going to happen now?
Well, I think there is a great deal of cautious optimism in both sides. Neither Americans nor Iranians want to sound too optimistic in case something throughout the negotiations go wrong. Because, for example, we saw how French parties' disagreement in the first round to get to the interim deal have changed the game and delayed the agreement. So there are potentials for unknown factors that might play into the future of the deal, and I think both sides are being very, very cautious about this.
But nobody in the West believes that this is being done for a peaceful nuclear program. When you look at the sites of the enrichment plants, you look how deeply buried they are, the fact that a lot of it was never divulged until it was forced out of the Iranian side. How can the West trust the motives of Iran?
Well, to begin with, Iranians frequently stressed that nobody found any piece of solid evidence to confirm that we have military purpose for our program. So
even if all these plants are deep inside mountains, yes, in bomb-proof areas, what is that for then?
Exactly. Well, I'm not sure what is the technicality behind it and what is considered as solid pieces of evidence, but apparently there has been no solid piece of evidence to confirm this. However, you know, obviously for obvious reasons, there is all this mistrust and concerns over the program, and one of the major steps and one of the major elements that is playing in these negotiations is to rebuild that trust that is lost. So trust building is one of the key aims of these negotiations to be achieved.
Why do you think the Supreme Leader Khamenei has said yes, let the talks can go ahead, but is really very pessimistic about any breakthrough?
I think there is a major element in both sides of being particularly cautious about the domestic impacts of any deal which is agreed. Both Americans and Iranians have, for 3.5 decades, you know, stopped talking to speak to one another. There has been absolutely no diplomatic relations. There's been an absolute state of anonymity between the two countries. So for the leaders to just over the night change everything is probably a little bit of a difficult decision to be made, and that's one of the major aspects of this cautiousness. The other factor, I think, is that lack of trust again, that neither of the parties can for sure say what is the other party going to do, and it's a kind of a tit-for-tat strategy. So both sides have came to negotiations, and I think what are they going to do in the second round is to reiterate what the previous during the previous round the other party have done. So this is very much of a you know, reacting to the previous round's achievements, really, for both.
And just talk about the previous round. I mean, how significant has the lifting of a few $1 billion worth of sanctions been for Iran domestically?
I don't think in terms of lifting the sanctions, Iranians have got anywhere near where they wanted to be. It's only a beginning, and the Americans and the international community were very, very cautious in what to give in order to make sure that the Iranians are going to come back to negotiation tables. So it hasn't had particular impact on Iranian economy. There has been some signals that proves the positive environment in Iran's domestic economy, and that's mainly to do with the signaling impact of the, you know, and that element of hope that is still exist and came back perhaps to Iranian market rather than having real macroeconomic effects.
Okay, Dr. Sara Bazoobandi, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the programme. We are expecting a press conference by Cathy Ashton's, that's Baroness Ashton's, the EU chief for Foreign Policy Chief, her spokesman, Michael Mann, in the next few minutes in Vienna. We'll bring that to you. Also, if you want to find out more about the talks and the time frame for implementing the interim deal on Iran's nuclear programme, much more, as always, on the website, Iran Nuclear Programme, all that at bbc.com/news. A lot of analysis and research and background to the build-up to these talks and, indeed, the chances or otherwise of success. India's